huarti. Drukum namdag shingla drupasho. Idam mandala kamiratayami. Chudang soki choknam la. Dangshu pardu dakni kapsuchi. Daki jinyeng kimpe sunam ki. Drolar pinchir sangye drupar. Sangye chudang soki choknam la. Dangshu Daki jinyeng kipe sunam ki. Drolar pinchir sangye drupasha. Chudang soki choknam la. Dangshu pardu kapsuchi. Daki jinyeng kipe sunam ki. Panchir sangye drupasha. Okay, here we go. So I want everyone to be comfortable and make sure your hands are nicely rested on the ground. Yeah, I would put it on the ground rather than on your stomach or your chest. You're basically in Shavasana for those of you that have done yoga. It doesn't matter if your hands are up or down. You want to just feel grounded to the floor. Okay. When you hear this chime, let this become an automatic response to ignite relaxation. Begin to start letting everything go. Create a sense of ease, a sense of relief. Gently inhaling and exhaling out of your nose. Let go. Loosen up. For this meditation, you're going to be relaxing and focusing on your body. You may often feel that you're located in your head, in your imagination, in your thoughts, in your mind. So begin to bring your awareness and have your awareness descend into your body. Bring your awareness into your torso, down to your thighs, down to the soles of your feet. And then bring your awareness down into your body vertically. Vertically down to the ground. Ground yourself to the surface beneath you. Down into your feet. So that you can feel at every touch point, whether it be your back, your head, the backs of your arms, your hands, your buttocks, the backs of your thighs and calves. Feel the floor beneath you. Feel the tactile sensations and the firmness of the ground, bringing your awareness down. Begin to ground your awareness with the sensations around you, specifically the earth elements and the solidity around you. Resting your awareness in witnessing mode, where there's no imagination or ruminating thoughts. You're not thinking about anything. You're simply being present, mindfully aware of the sensations of your body and the contact your body has with the ground. And like perfume filling a room, let your awareness fill and permeate the space of your body. Let your awareness fill throughout your legs, your torso, your arms, up to the crown of your head. Being mindfully present of this entire somatic field. Without visualizing the body specifically, but being aware of the body, begin to be aware of every moment as you completely become present within your body. You may notice areas that feel tight, constricted. Often there's tension in the base of the neck or shoulders. So focus on those areas as you breathe in. And then as your breath flows out, breath by breath, release that tightness. Inhale, focus. Exhale, relax. Every breath should be a sigh of relief. The face is often a magnet for tension. Furrowed brows, your lips are a little tight at the edges, your jaw. Bring your awareness to the muscles of your face as you breathe in. As you breathe out, relax. Soften the muscles in your face. Relax the forehead, creating a spacious openness between the brows. Soften all the muscles around the eyes. Relax your jaw and your lips so that your entire face has a sense of ease relaxation, totally carefree. If it's easy to relax and stay relaxed, it'll be easy to continue meditating. And as the body begins to settle in its most natural state, I'm going to emphasize a third quality in addition to relaxation and stillness, and it's the quality of vigilance. So begin to make sure your mind is at attention. Mentally adopt a form of vigilance so that every time you're in this specific posture, you know you're meditating. You use this posture for meditation practice only, so that every time you slip into this posture by association, your mind knows, ah, I'm meditating. Adopt a psychological posture here and let your mind be clear and alert while being relaxed. In this way, settle your body in its natural state, imbued with the three qualities of relaxation, stillness, and vigilance. A state of dynamic equilibrium. Keep your mind alert and awake. While sinking deeper into relaxation. When you're ready, you can get up. You can stretch your arms a little bit, your toes. Okay, how many of you guys passed out? Um,
Keeping me awake.
okay, how was that? Was that hard? It was 10 minutes. It was hard. Not so hard. It was hard. Not so hard. It was okay. Were you able to stay focused and not on your body? And no. What were you thinking about?
I personally have a really hard time with guided meditation.
Ah, yeah. In general.
In general.
Uh-huh. Okay. Because it makes you think about other things, or
Yeah, my mind just
Yeah.
goes off.
Mhm.
And like outside noises don't normally
affect
bother
you.
me,
Yeah.
but words really do.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm the same way, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Interesting. Anyone else?
I I drift easier when being guided versus
Yeah.
doing it alone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting that you notice you have that same problem when you're by yourself with a guided meditation versus in a group.
Yes.
Same.
Yeah, but in a group, it's more, like, for me, it's more distracting than guided meditation, but it's always the same. I just struggle with the guided.
Is it easier when you have something written out that you know what the steps are, and then you go into your meditation and you do that practice? Yeah. Okay.
Wait, when you mean when I mean guided, I mean actually somebody else.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Right. So is it easier if you know what the meditation is, and for memory, for instance, or it's written out, or however it may be, and then you just go in and do it?
Because I think my mind is more engaged when I'm doing it myself
Yeah.
versus when I'm listening to instructions.
Yeah.
Just kind of relaxes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I find though sometimes when my mind gets easily distracted, that a guided meditation that I've already heard, like there are a couple that I use when I know I'm basically when I don't want to meditate.
Yeah.
I pick up these guided meditations that I've heard a dozen or more times.
Yeah.
So I'm following along with the pace more.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably won't work for you guys.
Yeah.
It helps me when I'm in a stressed out place.
I would question when you, and I know exactly what you guys are talking about, but I would question whether or not when you're by yourself meditating, if you're actually that focused entirely. And if you're in a guided meditation, there's something about your psychological mind state that is just shutting down. That's up to you. That's for you to decide and see. And I only say that because I've had the same situation as well for a very long time. And as I progressed on my meditation practice, when I'm guided, I'm a lot more focused, but it's taken me almost 7 years to finally be able to be in a meditation where it's guided and be completely, like today it was so interesting. I went and got acupuncture, and I was listening to a guided meditation by one of my teachers, actually this one. It's and I've done this meditation in multiple different scenarios, and there are times where I'll drift, other times I won't. It just really depends on my state of mind, honestly. So I'd be interested to see like what state of mind you're in, and are there times where it's better versus not, you know? And I do find that the more I've trained, the easier it is for me to be focused when I hear someone leading it versus not. But that again is something that you'll just have a better understanding of knowing. It's difficult. There's something about when you are at least for me, and I'll think about this a little bit more of how we can work through that together. But I do find that when I've been guided in the past, I get lazy, and that's why my mind starts to shut down, because I think that you're going to be able to do it for me. So I'm like, there's no accountability in a way. Whereas when I'm by myself, there's a bit more accountability, but the frame of mind is still lazy. It just maybe doesn't seem as apparent, because you have these moments where when you're in a meditative state by yourself, it's possible to be like, I'm on my point. I kind of drift off. I don't even realize how long I've drifted off until I pop back up again, you know? Whereas when you have someone guiding you and you can stay focused on the actual meditation, you have a pretty good idea all along how much you're drifting off. The influx is probably a little bit quicker. Whereas when you're by yourself, it kind of goes, oh, what happened? How much time has passed? 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 2, maybe 10, you know? So I would look at that and see, and try to see if it's possible when you have a guided meditation to practice staying with it, because that's a training of your mind, and see if that's possible. You know, it's like working, like for me, I use this example like last time. It's like working out. When I work out by myself, I feel like I'm putting in a lot of effort. And then if I have a trainer with me, I realize my effort is there for sure. But am I really pushing myself to the point that I need to? I mean, no, I'm not. I'm just not. You know?
I know that what I struggle with the guided meditation is like, for example, like we all have crazy days, right? And so
Yes.
sometimes coming like a lot of times I have to like pre-sit before my meditation
Yeah.
is effective.
Sure.
And so when I cannot be following the guided meditation, I get agitated.
Yeah.
And then that's when my mind just like spirals. Whereas when I'm on my own, I am more patient with myself because I'm not measuring myself up against to like, but I should be relaxed right now. I'm not relaxed.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yes. Great. That's great. That's great that you can see that. That's perfect. So what the practice then is, and the thing about these practices is that even that language, and we're going to do another one. So we're doing body first, we're doing speech, which is the second one, and then we're doing mind. So it's the settling of body, speech, and mind. And so it's before you even start to meditate, these 3 segments is what you have to practice before you can even get into a meditation. So these are pre-meditation. So how do you relax your body first? If you're going to be tense, there's no way you're going to be able to meditate. That's a fact, right? We can all agree on that. If you have a lot of speech going on, not here because you're sitting, you're quiet, but in here, there's no way to meditate, right? And even the speech of judgment, like, am I doing it right? What's going on? What the hell? Like, this sucks. You know, that's also discursive thought. So how do you learn to practice and let that go? You know, judgment is a big part of the practice where there is really no, and we'll talk about this, and you'll see it woven in through the different classes that we'll have. But it's interesting in Tibetan Buddhism because there really is no judgment of like good or bad per se. You know, it's more just like you behave this way and that's going to come back to you. So you decide what's right for you and what's not. It's not a sense of like, it doesn't have the same kind of level of judgment that you would in, for instance, Christianity. You know, it's not a sin. It's just there's good karma and there's bad, but not in the terms of you're a bad person. It's just there's virtue or there's non-virtue. You know, and one brings more joy and the other one doesn't. And that's what you base engage it on. So how do you start to release that? So this will be a nice practice to just get a sense of what it's like to just release and relax before you can get into it. And you can't, and the more you do it, the faster you can do. So you'll hear people talk about meditations and they'll say, I can sit and drop into it really quickly. When they say drop into it, that means they can just, you sink into the stillness very quickly. And sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes, and that's where you use your breath to be able to help as a tool to relax. So we use the breath to relax the body, and you start to feel your body. And the way that we were talking about relaxation in the body, it's not breathing through the nose, but you're starting to feel breath taking up the space of your entire body. Your body is breathing, not your nose, right? Your body is breathing and you're feeling the pulsations of your body relaxing and relaxing further and deeper into it. So we're going to do this one next. That's going to be with the mind, okay? And we'll see how that goes. Good. Yes, of course.
So I don't know how to like link it exactly to what we've been talking about, but if I talk about my recent meditations, I've been struggling with like falling asleep, and like it's sort of like partially that I just need to sleep more, but the other thing is that I can't always tell if it is aversion where I get sleepy and I just like sort of check out,
Yeah.
or is it like I don't know, it seems like that, but I'm scared to meditate laying down. Like, I feel like
yeah, it's hard.
Good to relax your body, but
Yeah.
sleep.
Sure. So it's true. Meditating laying down is a difficult practice. It's a great practice. And what I do is I go back and forth. So like it's very common for me to start my morning practice sitting up. Then I'll do one lying down because I do get tense. I tend to do, like when I meditate and I'm really trying to focus, I tend to do this. I move forward and then I frown, like, because I'm like, Like, I'm gonna be focused on this object, damn it, you know? And I catch myself doing it. And so I'll oscillate. And so I'll do my first practice in the morning where I'll sit up and then I'll take a break. I'll lie down just to remember what it's like. Because when you're sitting, it should be the same type of relaxation as you're lying down. And I personally forget that. And then I'll do another one sit. And usually it's 3 that I'll do together. So it's nice to do it. If it's hard, we'll talk about different ways. We have antidotes that we'll talk about in this class of how do you start to see when you start to drift and fall asleep when there's dullness, right? Or what are antidotes when there's a lot of noise, you know? So how do you start to find ways to deal with that? And there are outer things that you need to do, but there's also just checking in, being like, am I shutting down when, like, I have this thing that happens, and I'll be curious if anyone else has it. But like, I know that there's certain things that happen, and if it's issues that are or meditations or topics that are bringing up stuff and gives me anxious, I have to pee. And I have this feeling where I'm like, I gotta pee. And I'm on the cushion and I'm like, oh my God, I have to pee, I have to pee, I have to pee, I have to, no, focus, focus, focus. And I will actually go into like a cold sweat. And my body has this way of just saying, I don't wanna do this, I don't wanna deal with this. So I'm gonna pee and I'm gonna sweat to get myself off of the cushion. And there are things that starts to happen. And I know these signs. And there's all these things that happen. My body starts to tingle and, you know, and so you'll just start to watch and see what your body starts to do and how your body finds ways to get, you know, and it's different when it's the mind. It becomes physical, you think it's a physical thing, but it's just your mind trying to say, no, I don't want to go there. I'd rather not. You know, so if lying down is a difficult practice and it's too hard, don't do it. But if it's a 10-minute segment where you can try to keep completely awake and aware and alert, and don't do a meditation lying down on your bed, that's not the place to do it. There's also temperature that we'll talk about today a little bit. You know, if it's too warm, it is hard, right? So how do you keep yourself at a temperature that's going to keep you alert and awake as well? You know? Okay, all right. So here's the next one. So we're gonna be seated, get comfortable. If you have knee issues, sit in a way that you can sit comfortably so you're not numb and, okay. Here we go. Begin to inhale and exhale through your nose. Recalling how it felt to be completely relaxed, lying down. Relax your shoulders, your jaw, the brows. Put a slight tension to your lower abdomen, keeping your body nice and upright so that you're awake, alert, and aware. Take a few breaths to fully ground your body and feel your breath in your body. And we'll start to focus on a more subtle domain of balance. Balancing the speech in its natural state that is effortlessly, naturally silent. It's clear you have your outer speech being silent and effortless. But what about the inner speech of the mind? The obsessive compulsive flow of rumination, the commentary, the chit chat, the leaky faucet of the mind. How to settle the speech of the mind in effortless silence so that you're inwardly calm as you are outwardly. To facilitate this inner silence and inner quiet, we'll settle the breath in its natural rhythm, which means to allow the breath to flow in and out effortlessly and without constraint. Using the breath, begin to let go of any control. Just letting the body breathe. The key to settling the breath in its natural rhythm is in the out breath. With every exhalation, begin to relax and release your body more and more deeply. Soften all the muscles of the body. With every out breath, release the breath and release everything until all is release. Nothing in reserve. You're not forcing the air out of your system, just releasing until it's all completely flowed out. And you can only do this if your mind is quiet, especially at the end of the breath. So with every out breath, release your thoughts. Images, memories, conversations. Release all the chatter of the mind and let the thoughts dissolve into the space of awareness. If your mind latched onto a thought, return it back to your breath. Using each breath to release the body, to release the mind, to release all the rumination that spews out of your mind. Let the breath move in and out effortlessly, without manipulation. And continue to breathe effortlessly as if you were in deep sleep, but clearly aware. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. How was that? Felt better. How was that? Better. Yeah, it felt better. You guys felt better. Yeah. It's like you went from relaxing so much to being like, okay, here we go. We're just shaping it up a little bit. It's good. Feels good. Okay. Nice. Stretch your legs and your arms, and you can twist a little bit if that helps. So that was a 10-minute sit. Not bad. Sitting. Were you able to stay more focused? No, it was harder. Yeah. Be more focused. And this kind of, did it give you more thoughts that were coming in? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah.
I did notice one thing.
Mm.
I was thinking about guided versus not guided.
Mm.
And I noticed, and I don't know if I've done it before, but I was answering you.
Yeah. Right.
You know, you
Yeah.
say something, and I was like, well, I am. And I caught myself saying that in my head, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, where did that? And maybe I always do that and don't even notice.
Yeah, sure.
It's weird.
Yeah. Okay.
And it went away once I noticed it.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
good.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. Great. One more. Here we go. You guys okay? Okay. All right. So if you decide to do a 30-minute and do 3 sessions of 10, I would take probably 2 minutes in between And if you need to get up and get a glass of water, do that. But that's what I would recommend. When you do longer sessions, so we'll start building, and by the end of this, we'll start doing like a 26-minute sit. And then what I usually do, if I do a 26-minute sit, I do 26 minutes, 4-minute break, and then do another 26 minutes, a 4-minute break, and a 26-minute, 4-minute break. Okay, so it's like 3 sessions of that. So it's another way to do it. So you kind of build into it. Okay. All right, here we go. Ready? Begin by inhaling and exhaling, recalling what it's like to fully relax your body. Still engaging in your abdomen so that your gut's just not hanging out, keeping a level of vigilance, yet relaxing your shoulders, your neck, your face. Take a few breaths to start releasing any leftover remnants of chit chat that's lingering in the space of your awareness. Paying attention specifically to the end of your exhale. And now we'll turn to the mind. The most subtlest challenge of settling the mind in its most natural state. So let's begin by relaxing the mind from its very core. We'll begin by releasing all concerns of the future, all the concerns of the past. Begin by releasing all the thoughts that you have about the present. And settling the mind at ease. Being loose and relaxed. Just like you use the breath to release chatter in the mind, speech in the mind. Use your breath again as a tool to release all the graspings of hopes, fears, memories, anticipations. And see if you can get your awareness to effortlessly come to rest in stillness in the present moment. Still being alert, Is it possible to have an awareness that's free of grasping? Effortlessly still, which by nature means your mind is clear and vivid. Begin to rest in that dynamic where your mind is at ease, still, and clear. Because this is a pre-meditation, don't focus your mind on anything outwardly or inwardly. Don't do anything with the mind. Simply release all striving, all effort. Use the breath to release all desires. Release any focus of attention here or there. Don't modify the mind in any way. If you've gotten distracted, release the noise. Relax again and return back to your breath. Resting in the very nature of your awareness that is luminous and cognizant. Stay focused and alert for for the remainder of this meditation. Nice. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. All right, how was that? Hard. I got a sense that some of you guys were getting dull. Like 2 sits was enough, 3 was kind of hard. Yeah? Okay. Okay, so now you know. Yes? You were. There are some of you that I felt actually were nicely warmed up and were getting into it easier. So now you know. You have a sense of what your threshold is. You know, is 2 sits kind of where it's good? Is 3 harder? What does that look like? I really do recommend for all of you to keep a journal and just get a sense of what's working, what's not. If your day is shitty, does your meditation shitty? Do you find that you want to meditate more because you have a, you know, like what circumstances are there? You can even get into, I mean, you know, if you have a meditation journal, the way that you would do it and keep it, if you're interested, is you put your date, you put the time, how long you sat for, what you did a meditation on, and also what were the challenges? Was it good? Was it bad? You can scale it if that's a better system for you. Was it painful? Like physically, you know, was it a hard sit? But you just note and you start to see certain patterns that happen. But it is helpful to have a notebook and if I really wanted to be that teacher, I would actually have you all keep a notebook and have you turn it in, which is maybe what we might do. I've had teachers that actually do that, where every quarter you submit your meditation journal and they take a look at everything that you're doing. And it's also for them to get a sense of where you're at, how you're doing, how consistent, you know. It also is another way where, you know, if you're meditating more, are things getting easier for you in your life? Like, you know, are we meeting every week and you're complaining all the time and you're not meditating versus are you meditating more often and realizing that you're complaining less? You know, it's a nice way to gauge where you're at too and how you're interfacing with the world. So I would consider doing that. And it doesn't have to be a notebook. It can be in your phone, however method is easiest for you. But please consider that. And let me think about how to do that so that it's not intimidating for everyone. Okay. So what we're going to do is it's 7:30. We don't have a lot of stuff to go over class today. So I did decide to have a big chunk of it be meditation for 2 reasons. One, for you to get a sense of what it's like to break up a meditation into 3 parts. 2, if you're interested in doing the 30-day challenge to rate and fundraise for the 3 jewels, and you can't do a 30-minute sit, and that feels really daunting to you, to know that you can break it up. And 3, well, I didn't have a third point, but I'll put in a third point. To get a gauge of, you know, we're doing meditation. I want to get a sense of where you guys are at. So what we're going to do now is these courses, oh, did I do them right? Yeah. These courses have homework and quizzes. Most of you are not submitting the official homework and quizzes and readings, which is fine. That's optional. There's some digital homework that I've assigned everybody that I will remind you again. Photos of your cushion and your altar, whatever that may mean to you or be to you. But what we will do at the start of class before we go into the content of it is do a group quiz. That's done in groups. So what I'm going to do is divide you guys up into groups of three, or not groups of three, three buckets, three categories, three groups. Sorry, just came from work and talk about design and buckets. And you'll do it as a group, as a team. So if you don't know what anyone's talking about, that's okay. Just listen. If you do, great, participate. It's 2 quizzes, right? Because we did last class, we did 1 and 2 together. And so finish up the quiz as a group. Let's take a 10-minute break, and we're going to reconvene and start class. I'm going to say about 5 minutes to 8. Yeah? Okay. And then we're going to go through, today we'll be going through 6 conditions of the environment you should have so that you can meditate successfully. And then we'll wrap up class by 8:30 tonight. Good? Okay, cool. So groups, let's do this. For those of you who've had a really awesome week, like really good, it's been a pretty bomb week for you, we're going to meet over here. For those of you that are just like, it's kind of been one of the crappiest weeks I've had, you're gonna sit over here. And for those of you that really feel like it was neither really good or bad, I was actually pretty good about not being psyched about anything or in the dumps about anything. It felt pretty neutral. You'll sit right in the middle. Sound good? Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Everyone goes to one side.
This is good. This is like pretty bad. This is pretty good. Yeah, I'll go. I'll join you. This is a crappy week. Introduce yourselves too. You're going to be people that you don't know.
I don't know, Rachel, what do you mean? His name is Jason. Jason.
List of 5 parts for our study of the practice of meditation.
That's probably something else.
Preparation to begin.
Yes.
Family posture.
Yes, that's the inclusive Nicholas.
Sorry. Everybody gets a process. And object meditation.
Second question is, what's just the name of the sixth one?
I also have something else that relates to the great book of the
They're not
sixth.
confusing with the seven rivers study.
So the 6,000.
Sixth one.
The great book of the steps to enlightenment.
What is that? Another list of seven steps.
What was the second one? The second one was set up an altar and make a straight teacher. Go for. Visualize knowledge of the
Yes.
So this is in the traditional Tibetan luminaries, when we sit down to do meditation. So before you start the 7 days, you write about
Yeah. Oh, this one is all your all the like this one is actually it's like an act offering in some way or shape or form.
they kind of like naturally unfold.
Display it. And then the teacher wish your teacher.
You're like the best. Never mind that I think every single one.
I think that, like maybe for you.
Oh, that's the right before.
I don't know.
Request license.
The first is frustration, the second is
There's two. Who wrote the text that are
this is
So wrong. I just know that like words. Certain ingredients are like.
Who wrote the text that you're saying?
Right.
That was a big one.
Yeah, but because I didn't.
There's eight.
yes. Confession.
What are the seven ingredients?
Seven ingredients.
And you ask your teacher to stay with you. The last thing is
This is the purification or preliminary.
number 5 is ask me to teach you. And 6 is ask your teachers to stay.
I didn't, so I like word of mouth and really like I don't really like meditation was what happened after you have it and your object and you like all the spirit and you go but
These seven parts, sorry, these seven are part of which of the six preliminaries?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, 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 no. Just Jenny. That's the fifth one.
Yeah, you're counting. So it's number five, purification. Which of them acts to gather the power of goodness? Frustration, offering, rejoicing, creative automobile, requesting, and dedication. Which of them act to gather the power of goodness? Which one does?
These seven are part of like sharing.
Which of those are
We took the seven ingredients.
Part of which of the six.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Oh. Which of them acts to gather the power of goodness? How many to clean away obstacles for a successful meditation?
Right, so the second part of that question, how many to clean away obstacles for a successful meditation? Frustration, the frustration would fall into the goodness side. And offering would fall into the goodness side. Confessing, opening yourself, being purification, cleaning away obstacles. The next one, rejoicing.
What word do we What word? Yeah, what word?
Yeah, that's what he's like, just for the side. Would be purification of like.
You also
Put that way. In the side. We're the new group, we just created it in the side. Requesting, switch to meditation. Dedication.
actually, I think it's actually the same.
Right, and then the last one is what word we using for the practice of the seven ingredients. Yes,
Middle way. Take a break. Come back in 7 minutes, 8 minutes. Yeah, 8 minute break. Oh, you're reading.
Question. Pain. Physical pain.
Yeah, your knees.
It's everything.
Everything. Like what? In general, when you're
So,
sitting.
knee, groin, lower back.
Yeah.
All of it.
All the time.
It's been, yeah, I
Or
mean,
always.
it's something when I'm walking around, like every day.
In
So it's
general.
like, and for the most part, you go about your day, you're like, okay, you move around, you do things, and you just live with it. Like I've had, I don't know,
I mean, I don't think.
well, you, but
Yeah.
the church,
Sure.
so I didn't even know I had a knee problem until second grade,
Oh, God.
and it was just so bad, it was just like, it's gotta be something wrong. She's like, oh shit, I don't have any clue what's wrong with that. So I've been a little kid, like wearing my kneecap and my joints. And then the lower back thing was slip disc. 53, this shit happens.
Yeah, sure.
But in meditation, it's not something you walk around and like, ignore it because you're talking to somebody, you're doing something.
Thank you, yes.
And then I'm sitting, I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, I feel this here. And I'm thinking it can go away.
Yeah.
It's weird because you can make it go away.
Yeah, you can.
For a little while.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it's like, is the pain the same as the responding to your guided talk? Like,
Yeah.
say something and I'm like,
Sure.
yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's good. I know how to do it. Okay. Yeah, I know how to stop you. Don't listen at you.
Yeah. I mean, physical pain is interesting too because your mind and your body are connected.
Yeah.
I mean, they're completely connected.
Yeah.
And I mean, just the same idea. Like when I get acupuncture done, for instance, I'll usually go in and my acupuncturist will say, "How are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, good. There's something I'm working on." And usually it's in my meditation or something emotionally I'm working on. And I'll say, "There's something I'm working on. Can you, there's knots that I feel, or there's and it could even be something like kind of the gross ideas of like anxiety, stress, but there'll be certain things where it's like I'll have a meditation and there's a very specific thing that I can feel a block of and I need to work through that. And I don't know what it is, or I'm really scared of something and I've been able to kind of identify it. And I will go in and get treatments and say, I need that to work on. I need for you to help me with the physical body of moving things so I can move my mind, So if it, and that happens, and usually she'll say, what is, if it's really a big thing, she'll be like, what does your day look like? I'm like, why? She's like, because you might be like underneath your desk crying for the rest of the day. You know what I mean? Or whatever that may be, Yeah, it might be, And so if it works that way, it also feels like it would work in inverse too, right? So if the mind and the body is interconnected, then I do wonder, when you have those pains, have you been able to identify the subtle bodies of what those pains are? I mean, there's the physical aspect of it, obviously, for sure, right? But there are things about where we put our stresses into, and that impacts the way I mean, constantly impacts the way that, I just recently sprained my back for the first time. I was like moving something, and I was so pissed. I was helping someone who probably move furniture. I got pissed. It was such a trivial thing too. It wasn't like a big deal, and I just I didn't engage my body the way it did, right? And ever since then, I noticed
I've been at the age where I didn't have to worry about like using my knees and my my little button and like all this stuff. And now I'm like I bend over and if I just don't even engage the proper way, I can feel it. Or I know I'm happy to do like core exercises just because I can tell if I miss out on a day, I can feel it on my back. Oh, like my shoes are changing. Something like I was wearing flats and I've always worn
Okay. I put this quote up there because I thought it was really relevant. I was doing some reading, and it's a nice reminder of the importance of meditation. We talk about, in the Buddhist scriptures and in these courses, we talk about, how we want ultimate happiness. There's all these different principles that we'll talk about. There's different scriptural readings that we'll have. There's different practices that you can engage in. You can come to all the 18 classes or the courses and learn all this information and go to every single Dharma center or spiritual center that you want to seek for some sort of answer. But the fact is that if you do not meditate, it doesn't really matter. And so I am incredibly committed to ensuring that all of you, by the time you're done with this class and these courses, that you are meditating to some degree. And it will be different for each and every one of you. But I very much urge you and encourage you to reach out to me if you have any questions, if it's not really sticking, because we'll find a way to have it stick. And there isn't really one method for everybody. Everyone goes into it from a different place for a different reason. There are different meditations that work for you. There are ones that don't. Sometimes you like it when it's guided. Other times you don't like it when it's guided. So we have to find a way. And I don't think it's a one size fit all situation. There might be certain situations going on in your life specifically where maybe the meditations we're doing really don't apply and it's not really helping you. So let's have that conversation. But it is incredibly important to have some type of practice because it creates a level of self-awareness. And just like what this quote up here says of Sogyal Rinpoche, it really does allow you to understand and recognize who you are. And also changing the mindset of how you think so that your worldview shifts and so that you can actually achieve a life and a world that is truly happy and free of suffering. Okay. So last time when we were talking, when So that's what we're going to talk about. All right. Oh, my animations are off. Okay, sorry. Going back. Here we go. Is that right? Did I just skip something? Sorry. Huh. All right. I think it deleted. All right. It's so strange. Okay. Can you say Gomrim? It's Gomrim for those of you that are writing down the Tibetan. Gomrim. One more time. And in English, it's The Stages of Meditation by Kamala Shila. So everything that we do in these classes, for those of you that don't know, it's based in and grounded in scripture. It's not just like some like esoteric, nice to have thing. Gomrim is the stages of meditation. It's what Jason Koppa is using as the foundation of the 6 conditions that we'll be talking about today, okay? So if you're doing homework, this is something that you need to know. Kamala Shila's date is 750 AD. Another thing that you will also know is that, or need to know, is that Jason Koppa did a commentary called the Dode Gen. Can you say Dode? Gen? Dode? Gen. And that's the ornament of sutras. And the Sanskrit's below, Sutrala Makara, and that's by Master Asanga. And so the scriptures that we're basing it on are on these 2 books that Jason Koppa used. Okay. Okay. The first place, one second, guys, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Nope. The technical difficulty. Let's see if that works. No. Sorry. What is going on?
Seems that the view is coming through the program, not through.
Yeah. It's weird. It just flipped. Hold on a minute. I don't know. That's so strange. I'm sorry, guys. No, I don't think it's a restart. I think it's self-existently Apple sucking. Sorry. I just upgraded all my machines and I'm so annoyed with Apple. Okay, let's try it again and see if that works. Nope. Oh man. Man, oh man. Okay. Let me just try one more thing, and if it doesn't, I'll figure something out. So funny. It was working just fine. No. Okay. Oh, I see. Is it not showing? What happened? Getting my slides. Oh no. Okay, what are we gonna do? I'm going to speak through it, guys. I'm sorry. I'll speak through it. Okay, here we go. So the first one is gonna be, can you say Tunpei? Yule. Tunpei? Yule. And I'll send you PDFs actually if you guys are interested, and I can give you the parts of everything. They're only 6 slides, it's short. Tunpei Yule means a harmony place. So you need to have a place of harmony. Master Sangha wrote this part of it, and there's 5 parts to it. The first part is to be comfortable physically. You have to be in a place that physically you can be comfortable. You need to make sure that you have a place where there's enough clothes, like you have enough clothes, there's heat and air conditioning, or whatever it is physically for you to be in. If you're doing in the context of a retreat, it has to be something where you're physically at ease, because if you're going to have discomfort physically, you're just going to be distracted. So the idea isn't to create a lap of luxury. The idea is to create a place where you have your basic needs. Okay. Sometimes you'll hear people talk about doing retreats, like long retreats, in situations that are just really rough and tough. And I have a lot of teachers who have done retreats, where there's no electricity and no running water, and they're literally in a hut in the middle of nowhere that's not much bigger than a bathroom that you're in, and they literally poop and pee in a bucket. You can do that, but you don't have to do that. It's not like the more you struggle, the more you'll get out of a retreat. There are different reasons why different people have circumstances like that, which may not apply to you. Different teachers will give their students different restrictions and tell them to do different things because there's a certain path that teacher sees the student being on. So don't put yourself in a situation that's dire for the sake of just making it seem like you toughed it out that much. But make sure that you're in a place that's comfortable. When I do my retreats, I have electricity usually, but that's usually about it. And that's something that I realize, that if I don't have the electricity, it makes it difficult because I don't have usually someone who's making my food. And so it just becomes a big distraction. I spend most of my time trying to prep things that I need to do just to physically survive rather than focusing on the meditation. So the first part is being comfortable physically. Second, you should be in a place that feels safe. If you don't feel safe, you're getting distracted again, right? And last time I talked about how, I've had retreats where I get nervous and I start thinking like, oh my God, what happens if a bear comes, or there's an axe murderer, or all sorts of weird stories happen. So make sure you're in a place where you physically feel safe. Third, you have to be in a good environment, is what the scripture says, which basically means a place where you're not going to be sick. Make sure it's not. I know someone who was in a place where it was completely scorpion infested, just like scorpions everywhere. Don't do that to yourself. Just like keep a place where you're not going to have to worry about dying physically and getting stung. And also, most importantly, a place that's not too loud, right? Noise is considered one of the biggest distractions. There's the noise of the mind, that's clearly one, but there's also the outer noise. So make sure you're in a place that's quiet. That's the good environment. Yeah. When you do retreats, for instance, technically you actually cover all the windows. So there's no, like, you don't get to sit and just zone out and look at the birds. It's not like that. All the windows are covered, usually with wax paper, so there's some light coming in. But usually when you see people go into a deep retreat, there is no outer world that you get to see. You can go outside for just a moment, or sometimes you can go on walks, but for the most part, it's so that you're not wandering. You're keeping everything very insular and in. Something that I do, even, when I'm meditating, what helps me even to keep things more insular so that I don't get distracted, I will put a light blanket or a scarf over my head just to keep, it's kind of like blinders almost, so I feel like I'm in a cocoon. I generally don't do well in big spaces of meditating. Kind of the smaller, the tighter spaces, the better I can stay focused. So you'll start to learn what works for you, what doesn't. But it's nice to start getting a sense of that early on, so that when you go into a retreat someday, it's not going to wig you out all of a sudden, okay? The fourth thing is to have good friends, which means to have a supportive group around you. If you do have a retreat, you're in a situation where you have people around you that can be there to make sure that you're safe, to drop off food, that they're there for an emergency, to just have the right conducive environment. If you're in your home and you're doing meditations, just apply this to day to day. You have roommates that aren't just going to be jerks and disrespectful to the fact that you have a morning practice, so having good friends, it just means to have the right company around you. If you are interested in becoming a meditator and you're living in an environment that's not conducive to it, it's worth considering, do I need to move? A. B, if this doesn't work, where can I meditate? The 3 Jewels has free meditations every morning. I just talked to someone who's just said, I can't do it in my home. It's not possible. My boyfriend doesn't get it. I can't get a space. My place is so cluttered, and we get into a fight every time we talk about cleaning up the space. So the option is then come to a space like this where you can meditate every morning and start to understand how to have some space for yourself. And the fifth one is having goodness. It really means It's funny how they say having goodness, but basically it means just not having a lot of things around you that are distractive. You know, noise, music, books, in general. Just making sure that the focus of your space and your meditation is really to have solitude and to be able to go in. Okay, so those are the 5 different components. Another thing that you will hear about every once in a while, people will say they get lung. It's spelled Lung. And when someone has lung, it means that there's an imbalance that's happening inside. And it really happens when you go into a deep meditation. And if any of you decide to go do a retreat of any sort, please make sure you have a teacher, because there's a prescription to it. It's not like you go in, you get to hang out and read, books. And there are kind of retreats where there are study retreats, but if you're doing a meditation retreat, have a teacher be able to give you an outline of what that looks like that's right for you and the conditions that are right for you and set you up. There's dietary restrictions that we'll have depending on certain meditation retreats that you go into. There's times of when to meditate, all sorts of things like that. I know that for some of you, it's difficult to get up in the morning and do a meditation. The evening is better. Great, evening works too. Do it when it's quiet. I was just having I've been having conversations about being a night owl, and it's funny because as a designer, my favorite time to work is between 11 and 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. Sorry, like 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. And I love that time because it's the time when the city feels still. So if you're going to meditate and you're a night person, do it when you can start to feel the subtleness of the city quieting down. Like Friday night at 11 may not work so well, but Friday night or 11 p.m. at Monday or Tuesdays, you'll start to see what makes sense, but make sure your space is quiet. Okay. All right. The second part of the 6 environments, can you say dupa, chungwa, dupa, chungwa? And that's the attitude that you don't need much to be satisfied. Dupa, D-U-P-A, and chungwa, C-H-U-N-G-W-A. So it's D-U-P-A, dupa, chungwa, C-H-U-N-G-W-A. And it's the attitude that you don't need much to be satisfied. It really means that from the beginning, you don't want much. And the thing is that if you do a retreat, you can't expect that once you do the minute you step into your retreat, suddenly you'll not want much, right? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. It's you have to habituate from earlier on to be able to not want much. And all these things, that's why I'm not making the assumption that all of you are going to go into a retreat in the next 6 months or even the next year. I don't know what that path will be for you as of now. But the fact is that all these elements we're talking about early on, so that you start to consider how you're going to create that kind of space and condition now, so that you're cultivating it. And at some point when you do a retreat, whether it be in a group or by yourself, you've conditioned yourself to be there, so that you're not expecting yourself to just think it's going to happen and everything is going to turn on and you're going to be so focused and you suddenly don't want anything and you're okay with complete silence and stillness. It doesn't usually work that way. And people who don't prepare themselves properly, they go into retreat and they seriously flip out. And there have been plenty of people who have been in retreats that are leaving on emergency because they have complete panic attacks. Or total psychological emotional breakdowns because it freaks them out. So, and that's the extreme of it. But the reason why we're talking about this so early on is just so that you understand that you're preparing yourself little by little to get ready and understand what it's like to actually have a retreat at some point. Okay. So Dupa Chungwa is not wanting more from the very beginning. And it's coupled, it's kind of the sibling of number 3, which is called Chok Shepa. Can you say Chok? Shepa. Again, Chok, Shepa. Chok is spelled C-H-O-K. and Shepa is SHEPA. And that's the attitude of being satisfied with whatever you get. So it's slightly different than number 2. The number 2, number 3 were from the Abhidhamma Kosha, for those of you that are interested in wanting to know. And that was also written by Master Vasubandhu. Okay, so Master Vasubandhu, for those of you who are interested, and Master Asanga are half-brothers. We talked about this in course 2. There was a nun who had premonitions and dreams that if she were to give up her robes and have 2 children, and it was a time when Buddhism was on the decline, that they would actually save, or at least, I don't know about save, but they would actually revive the Buddhist philosophy. And so she gave up her robe, married a king, had 1 son, and then married a Brahmin and had another son. So they have half brothers. So there's Ashtanga, Vasubandhu, and who's the other one? Asanga, sorry, Master Asanga, who are half brothers. And the 2 of them have written, I believe, 3 of the 5 greatest books of Tibetan Buddhism that you hear about and read about, and most likely will study. So this is Vasubandhu that wrote these books on these 2 subjects. So the idea for number 3, Chokshepa, is that there's an attitude of being satisfied with whatever you get. And number 2 was being okay with what you have from the get-go, right? So these are 2 practices to start considering of how am I content? The practice of contentment is absolutely a practice. You know, we always want more all the time, and even the most subtlest things, right? So how do we start having practices where you start thinking, you know what, maybe this is just okay, and this is enough, and it's really not that bad, you know? I recently had a conversation with a colleague of mine who was complaining about a bunch of work stuff, and he's been wanting a list of all these things that he wishes his boss would be able to do. And for months, you know, I wish he would give me this control of this project, give me a budget for this, give me a team to do this. There was a whole laundry list. And 4 months later, we were having this call, and he's telling me how like crazy his boss is and how he behaved a certain way, and they had this meeting. But in the midst of his complaining, I take notes usually when I'm on a call with this friend of mine. I'm writing bullet points of the things that actually were accomplished. And after the 20-minute kind of saga, I stopped and I said, so let me just get this straight. The 5 things that you wanted, that you've been wanting for the last 4 months, have all been accomplished, it sounds like, and I listed the things, but it wasn't delivered in the way that you wanted to be delivered. Is that that's what I'm hearing? Is that what you're seeing too? And he was quiet. He goes, yeah, I suppose that's one way to look at it, you know? And it was fascinating because he couldn't see it. And so there's this component where it's like, how much are we really looking and stopping for a second? And when we get rid of the complaining, to look and be like, actually, it's not that bad, you know? Yeah, okay, the city, it can be difficult, and it can be such a pain in the ass, but is it really that bad, you know? I hate my job, but is it better than the one it was before? Sure. Could it be better? Of course. Okay. So how bad is it really? You know? My boyfriend never listens to me, but yesterday he was so nice and made me dinner. So why am I complaining at the moment when he did listen to the 1 out of the 4 things that I wanted? You know, maybe that's not so bad. It's better than 0 out of 4, which was last week. And this week it's 1, and it improves, right? So how much are we habituating our mind and complaining rather than appreciating and realizing that maybe it's not as bad as we think we are, or where we're at, and the practice of being content. Because this seeking is also a disease in itself, and it becomes a problem in your practice. You cannot be still if you're constantly seeking for something outside of there when it actually may be it as it is right now, okay? So something to just think about for all of you where you're at in your life. Okay. Number 4, can you say ja, mangpang, ja, mangpang? Ja is spelled J-O, and mangpang is M-A-N-G-P-A-N-G. M-A-N-G-P-A-N-G. And that's to give up doing a lot of things. It means to just do what's necessary. So when you start to look at what it is that you want in your life specifically, and you can start to identify what that is, are all the things that you're doing in the activities of your life supporting that goal? Or are there a lot of excessive things that are happening that's just becoming more noise and distractions? This idea is that you do what's necessary. It's really the minimum that's necessary for you to be able to achieve what you're trying to do. So if you come and you say, listen, I really want to have a meditation practice, but you're out late at night drinking or partying or watching Netflix binging on movies, or whatever it is, how on earth are you going to get up early enough to do your meditation practice if that's what you really want to do? So there are going to be things that need to start being cut out. And it's a question of, do you understand that? Are you willing to do that? And maybe it's not something where you need to quit altogether. It doesn't have to be cold turkey. Maybe it's something you try for a week and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, then go ahead, binge again on Netflix. Go at it, But the idea here is that start to identify what are the things that you really want, and then get rid of everything else that's just noise. Prioritize your life. You only got one life, you guys, and it goes very, very quickly. So articulate, identify, prioritize, and do the things that really support the things that you're trying to do, and everything that's not, maybe it's time to put that to the side for now. Okay? So that's what that idea is. Number 5, can you say sultrim? Dakpa? Sultrim? Dakpa. Sultrim is T-S-U-L-T-R-I-M. Dakpa is D-A-K-P-A. T-S-U-L-T-R-I-M. Dakpa, D-A-K-P-A. Okay. This means pure morality. It means pure morality. It means to avoid harming other beings, inflicting any kind of mental, emotional, or physical suffering on any beings. It is impossible to have a meditation practice if your morality is screwed up. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. More importantly, it's important to have as clean of a morality. Does that make sense? To obtain virtuous activities so that your morality is cleaned up before you go into retreat. Because when you go into retreat and you haven't been moral, it will explode on you, and it will be a practice that it will be a retreat that will most likely not be successful. Okay, so it's important that you look at, and morality is subtle. There's the extreme, like most of us are not going to be going out murdering people on the street. I mean, I don't think that's the case. You may want to. I had someone recently be like, I have dreams about killing with my gun, he said, Trump. And I was like, don't say that. There's subtle ways too that you can think about morality, right? Of how you create suffering for people around you. And basically the other way to look at it too is, when you go out into the world, are you thinking about you, or are you thinking about them? That's another very simple way to look at it. You know, who are you thinking about when you're acting and behaving the way you are? You know, is it for you or is it for them? What is it? Who is it for? You know, whose best interest are you looking out for? You know, so that's something that I use to help gauge where I am on my scale of morals of harming others, mentally or physically. Okay. Number 6, can we say namtok? Pang. Namtok. Pang. Namtok is Namtok, and pang is Pang. And this one is to give up desires. It's getting rid of desires of things that you're attracted to. At some point, you will be able to withdraw from your senses completely when you get into a deep state of meditation. In fact, Thomas and I were just talking about this earlier about, about physical pain. Like, how much is that real and how much is that is in your mind? How many times have any of you done a meditation where you feel an itch and you're like, I have an itch, it's right here, I have an itch, I don't want to itch it. And if you actually focus on what you're supposed to be focusing, suddenly the itch goes away, right? So is that your mind or is it your body? You know, it's like the same thing with the story I had earlier, right? I have to pee, I have to pee, I have to pee, I have to pee. Do I really have to pee? Because I've gone off my cushion and sat on the toilet to pee and there was nothing to come out. You know, so there is a point where you can start to withdraw from your senses and your needs, and it starts from gross desires, right? Not gross meaning disgusting, but like actual tangible desires, you know, where you start to withdraw and you say, I just don't need that and I don't desire that anymore. And some of us, it starts with even, you know, money is a really fun topic to play with. You know, how many times have you felt like if I just had money, it would be better? And then you get a little bit of extra, you get that raise, you get that better job, you get that better car, you get that better apartment. And are you that much happier? I hear more stories of people who get more and seem unhappy rather than having more and more happy. Clearly, those two don't necessarily work hand in hand. You know, so how do you start to look at your desires that you have, that you're grasping on, that you're reaching for, thinking that that thing will actually fulfill you? And that goes with things that are outside in the world. That also happens in your own body as well. I will feel better and more focused if I can pee right now. I know it, I'm for sure, right? I know I can focus more if I just itch there. Oh yeah, I'm gonna itch there. What happens after you itch here? Everything starts itching. This itches everything. And you're just like, I'm infestation of itches. It never ends. It totally expands, right? You all know that, right? That's how it works. It's so interesting to watch that. And you're like, wow, that's, you know, it's crazy. And that's how it works out in the world too. So, you know, there's a practice of withdrawing from desires. Maybe I don't need that many shoes. Maybe I just need one more shoe, you know, instead of 4, whatever it is, right? So it's starting to see that. So, you know, at the end of the day, meditation is about having a level of self-awareness. So there's work that you do on the cushion, but there's also work that you do off the cushion, which means that as you walk throughout your day, take time and just check in. Maybe it's once during the day, during lunch break, where you're like, how am I doing? What's going on? You know, am I behaving a certain way or not? There are moments where you can start to look and say, man, I just did not behave well to that friend of mine. I really shouldn't have lost my temper with my partner. You know, yeah, my mom is such a pain in the ass, but did I really need to raise my voice? You know, if you're even able to have that a day later or 2 days later, great. That time will start to get shorter, where it goes from days to hours to minutes to you catch it even right before it happens and you don't even go there. And that can only happen if you're checking in more frequently. So get in the habit, 2 things. Get in the habit of sitting every day. Do a 5-minute practice, and I will email all of you to remind you. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. That's nothing. That is, get up, sit, brush your teeth. I highly recommend to brush your teeth. Brush your teeth, grab a glass of water if you need to, roll out of bed, and just sit your butt down for 5 minutes and say, I'm just going to breathe for 5 minutes. That's it. No motivation of anything else than that. I'm just going to practice sitting. Habituate yourself doing that for 5 minutes. For those of you who have a meditation practice, keep it consistent and daily. Try to do it every day at the same time, because you're starting to habituate your mind and your body to get used to it. So this week, the practice is 5 minutes every day, same time. Pick a time and log it in. Okay? Log in the time that you do it. And all I'm asking is that you spend 5 minutes just being and breathing. That's it. Okay? If you want to go into, and we'll start growing and building on this. Okay? We'll start building, and we'll start doing 3 minutes and adding in each week, so that by the time you're done with this course, you'll be doing a 30-minute sit, no problem. Easy peasy. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. The other thing that I'd also like for all of you to do is keep a notebook and check in once a day of where you're at. Just a moment of reflection. That's it. Time, and pick a time. It doesn't have to be the same time every day. Pick a time and just check in. You know, I think I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm being a pretty good person. Or reflect. Maybe there's one thing that you didn't do so well. So write it down as a negative. Negative. Didn't really handle that situation well. I was kind of judgmental. Actually, I was really judgmental. You know? And then note something positive that you also did. So you do one negative, one positive. Yeah? Does that make sense? And then you do the third thing is something that you're going to promise yourself for the next hour to be able to rectify almost karmically of the negative. I was really judgy. Okay. And the next hour, I'm going to do everything I can to not behave that way to that one person. Or I lost my temper. So for the rest of today, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to not lose my temper or to be impatient with my partner. You just commit to one thing. Okay, that's the opposite behavior of the negative. Okay, so there's 2 assignments. One is 5 minutes a day, just being in your body. That's it. Second is a notebook. Every day you check in, one positive, one negative. Start with a positive first. The negative is easy to do. Start with positive first, then do the negative. And then one action that you're doing to counteract the negative activity that happened. Good? Okay. Any questions? I'll put up this. I'll put up, yeah, I'm going to put up this last slide, and then we're going to close and we're out of here. Sorry, guys. I was trying to get you out by 8:30, but I was fussing with the computer. Blame myself? My karma? Sorry. Apple? Okay. It's going to pop up any second. Okay. It's all your fault. It is all your fault. You're right. It was working fine when I was by myself. All your fault. Okay, here we go. I know it's small. I'm sorry. Just bear with us. Me. Here we go.
Sashi.
Puki Jing Mito Drum. Mirali Ching De Padi. Sange Shindu Nite Uwadi. Trokun Namda Shimra Juparsho. Ram Guru Ratma Mandala Kamira Tayami. Di Gero Just want you to take a seat, and you're going to rejoice in being here tonight for whatever reason that brought you here, whatever intention that is. Identify what that is for you. Commend yourself for taking the time and prioritizing and doing what it is that you came to do and learn. And dedicate your efforts to one person out in the world, wishing for them a life that is free of suffering, full of joy and happiness, and wishing that one day they will be able to see who they really are. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Nice. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Next week is Halloween.